Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Will Reece, and I'm the marketing rep for AFC Vacations. 2024 is moving quickly, and it's been a fun, adventurous year so far. We just recently published our July catalog with some great trips still remaining through December. A big part of that catalog, however, is the focus and introduction of 2025 tours and dates. These trips offer exceptional variety with destinations all over the world and a great mix of dates that provide some flexibility to our travelers. We brought back a lot of our classic programs that have been successful year in and year out, while also introducing a number of new trips for 2025. We have revamped a few programs to give some different perspectives as well. And our lineup of tours will start with two of our most fun and successful types of trips in our mystery tours that have dates for the first half of the year, along with our chartered European river cruises. We'll then work our way from the east to west and finish with some international trips. But we are covering a lot in today's show, and we'll send a playback to your emails, so if you miss anything, you can revisit it. The show code for today's VTS is 25 release, and it's good through Friday, July 26th. And we have dates and tours that'll be added beyond these that we show in the show today. But let's get rolling and show you some of what 2025 has in store. So what's included with an AFC tour? Well, we offer worldwide tours and cruises with a number of varying travel styles. So whether it's a European river cruise, a tour of the national parks, or a train tour, we cover them all. And that includes a variety of ocean cruises to choose from with one of our partners. Our one hotel stay offers some of the most popular trips, and they allow you to unpack your suitcase and settle in at one hotel for your entire trip. We also have our classic motor coach tours, adventure travel, and we show our activity levels on each of our trips. So depending on how active you are, you can determine the specific type of trip for you. Now, we also offer inclusive and honest pricing. Our prices include round-trip air by gateway, home pickup, or a credit if you wish to make your own arrangements to the airport. Our tour managers are an unbelievable group of people who are helpful, organized, and extremely knowledgeable about the destinations. They care about you as our traveler, and they go above and beyond to take care of your needs on tour. The hotels, activities, and dining that we provide on tour give you a great taste of local life. Many of our meals, we introduce the regional specialties of the area, and we incorporate cultural experiences with many of our dinners as well. The hotels we use are well located and comfortable, and the included sightseeing make our trips memorable with guided commentary to bring the destinations to life. One of the items we recently introduced was guaranteed pricing. So once your deposit is paid on your tour, your price is locked in. So even as fuel prices change for motor coaches and river cruises, we absorb any additional costs that get sent our way and don't pass it on to our travelers. And that's what you can expect from us. We also have guaranteed departures. And when you see the symbol GD in the brochure and on the show, that means we have enough passengers to travel on that departure. As we move closer to 2025, you'll see more of these programs going to guaranteed status. Now, a few of the key pieces of what make AFC Vacations so special and unique really come down to our excellent team of real people handling all of the aspects of your program here in San Diego. Our staff has a wealth of knowledge and expertise with over 140 years of travel experience combined, and look forward to assisting you to make travel easy. We include round-trip air on all of our tours from many different airports that you can see in our brochure. And at AFC, we also offer low-cost travel insurance with a cancel for any reason benefit. So this provides security as you move closer to your tour. We make travel easier by providing a round-trip home pickup service. We pick you up at your home, take you to the airport, and bring you home from your trip as your returning flight lands. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of getting to and from the airport and makes travel so much simpler. So we also provide a $100 credit if you make your own arrangements to and from the airport. With the growth of Uber and Lyft, we found that more people are asking about that method of travel. So this means if you choose not to take the home pickup, your final payment will be reduced by $100 per person. So that's some great savings, especially if you share a ride. But this is generally around $45 to $50 each way that you're saving. and you could spend that on shopping or a great meal in one of our many destinations. We have a number of different AFC advantages. Here are just a couple. We recently introduced our Travelers Club, and that's a loyalty program. So if you book a 2024 tour or European river cruise, you are automatically enrolled to receive $100 off your next tour within 18 months. And that applies to each trip thereafter. So book a tour, your next trip within 18 months is $100 off. We are a refer a friend program. And so what we've done in years past is, being a word of mouth company, if you refer a friend or family member to travel with us, once they've traveled, you will receive $100 credit off your next trip. So make sure you're spreading the word about AFC. We've been in business since 1982 and provide amazing service to our travelers. So please let people know. And we are all over the country at this point. We have folks traveling from DC to San Diego and everywhere in between. We also provide early booking savings, and this is going out to more people than ever. So if you're one of the first 20 to travel, you save the most amount on a program. So being one of the first 20 to book on a specific departure, you can save up to $100 per person. And the 21st through 40th traveler also saves on their trip, a little lower amount, but a great savings nonetheless. So it does pay to book early. Make sure you're booking your trip as soon as possible. Getting into some of our specific departures, our mystery tours are a huge success and sell out nearly every departure. We have over 60 different mystery tour destinations and continue to add to that list. So our staff is here to help you pick the right departure for you. If you've done one or more mystery tours with us, at time of booking, our team can direct you to something new for you. And how do they work? So when you book, you'll be advised how to pack, the average weather in the destination, and some helpful hints. About 3 weeks prior to departure, you'll be advised what time your flight leaves on which specific airline. And it's always fun to tell the folks at the check-in counter you don't know where you're going. Once you check in, you'll get your boarding pass and find out your first destination. The tour manager will meet you in baggage claim on arrival, and over the course of the trip, they reveal tour components or give you clues along the way. So these are trips for folks who have been to most major U.S. cities and destinations, those who have a sense of adventure, and those who don't need to know all the details. They're a very creative and fun way to travel with some great itineraries with the seasons and weather considered. But as you can see, there's a few departures left for 2024 with space available. And then 2025, the first half of the year, is out. So make sure you take advantage of those dates that have been promoted, because these do get booked out quickly. Getting into our European river cruises. These are some of our more popular trips that have come about, and we've expanded our catalog each and every year of available cruises. So this is an exciting blend of the best of two itineraries into one. And let me share some of the highlights that we are offering, and I think you'll enjoy. We sail on the Amadeus Cara and Amadeus Star, which are new ships, and absolutely took my breath away. They're stunning vessels and very comfortable. So we take the Cara in March and April, and the Amadeus Star in October. The March 26th departure goes from Basel to Amsterdam, so south to north, and April 1st and October 12th go southbound from Amsterdam to Basel. So this program has a lot to offer, and there are a few ways to see the sights of Amsterdam, but being on a bus is not one of them. It's a city with canals and bicycles and charming alleyways. We'll enjoy exploring the sights in a canal boat with commentary about each of the areas we see. Our boat ride will take us through the intricate canals under many bridges, and you'll get up close looks at the charming architecture of this city. Then an afternoon excursion takes us into the country to the famous village of Zanziskans, and that's where historic windmills and distinctive green wooden houses, which were relocated to recreate the look of an 18th century village. And that's where you'll see wooden clog carving and barrel making. There's also a cheese factory and the tempting smells of a nearby bakery. In the spring, we'll visit the world's second largest flower garden with over 7 million bulbs planted annually, and it's called the Garden of Europe, otherwise known as Kuchenhof Gardens. And we have timed our spring cruises perfectly to fit these amazing tulips and landscapes. While the tulips are laid to rest after spring, our October departure includes something unique as well, and that is the town of Volendam and Edam. So we replace the tulips with a beautiful harbor town called Volendam, and here you'll learn about the many floods the area saw in its early days and why the canals, dams, and other structures were put into place to keep the sea at bay. The harbor has classic sailing vessels and wonderful shops and a restaurant, all sorts of restaurants along the harborway as well. We'll venture to a cheese tasting where you can enjoy a local specialty known as Edam cheese, and then from there work our way through the river. Now we board the ship in either Basel or Amsterdam and work each direction. And Koblenz is another great stop that we enjoy, and that sits at the junction of the Rhine and Moselle. It was founded in 9 BC as a Roman town and makes it one of Germany's oldest and most beautiful cities. But we'll take you for a walking tour to enjoy the sights. One of the most recognizable aspects of this cruise is the stretch of the Rhine where we take in the castles as we sail. So from Koblenz to Mainz, we enjoy the many hillside castles and towers that have stood for centuries. And the cruise director gives commentary on the different points of interest, and it's always fun to spend time on deck as we pass these great features. Then Strasbourg lies at the border of France and Germany, and it's a blend of cultures and experience where we enjoy the major cathedral on our walking tour of the city. And then you'll get some time to explore it on your own. As we wind down into Switzerland, we get to enjoy Basel, and we also offer a 2-night extension to Lucerne. And this is a wonderful city right on the lake with beautiful mountains in the backdrop. We stop in Kokum, which is a beautiful town on the Moselle River with a wine tasting and walking tour. And then we also incorporate a beer tasting on our Cologne city tour and walk. So great program, going different directions, and a wonderful, enjoyable experience. Next cruise I'll talk about is our Burgundy and Provence River cruise. And traveling on the Rhone River in France is an unmatched experience. It's one of the most memorable cruises on any of the rivers I've ever been on. And this trip features 7 nights aboard the Amadeus Provence. This was built in 2017 and holds less than 140 passengers. So there are only about 8 suites available on board, and these are the first category that get booked out on any of our cruises. They're much more spacious, and the balcony doors allow for an open-air journey along this spectacular river. We include round-trip air in and out of Lyon, and that makes for a very convenient travel experience. As with all of our cruises, free wine, beer, and soft drinks are included with dinners, as well as free Wi-Fi. On board, you have the River Terrace and the Amadeus Club, which is a wonderful area indoors to enjoy a book or chat with friends. Then our first port of call is the city of Mâcon, and this is a hub for the stunning vineyards of Burgundy, sitting right on the bank of the Rhone. And Mâcon is a beautiful layout, which is flat and easy to get around. Very historic buildings, many park areas, and a great museum are just some of the main points of the fantastic city. The Mâconnaise region of Burgundy is one of the most famous wine regions in France, and Burgundy is home to both red and white wines. The northern part in Dijon produces more reds, while the southern part a little bit higher in white wines. But they swap grapes and produce it all in each of the areas. And we include an excursion through the vineyards to a wine museum and tasting experience to enjoy some Burgundy wine. That afternoon is free to enjoy the ship or wander through the town of Mâcon. You'll get to see a lot of it on our drive. Now, our next stop is the beautiful French city of Beaune. And our city tour of this walled town includes a visit to the Hotel Dieu, and that was built in 1443. You can see the picture in the upper left corner. Its polychrome roof and Gothic architecture are unmatched, and it was built as a hospital for the poor in a period just after the plague and was managed by the Holy See. You'll tour the entire facility with its master artworks, nearby vineyards, and special architecture that make it very memorable. After the tour, enjoy a wine tasting experience to sample the local product of the Burgundy wine region. Then our city tour of Lyon takes us to the Roman Catholic Cathedral up on the hill overlooking the river. Construction took over 300 years, so it's really an amazing sight to see. We'll also see the Old Town in Lyon, and this is my favorite part of the day, as the paved old streets and colorful facades of houses dating back to the Renaissance bring to life the historic district. We make our way south on the river, heading to Avignon, otherwise known as the City of the Popes, and 7 popes lived here in the 14th century. We include the Bridge of Avignon as well as the Palace of the Popes with a guided walking tour, and we dock right in town, so it's easy to explore. Deb tried to get me to sing the song about Avignon with her in April, and I wouldn't do it, but come see me at karaoke sometime. The following day, we head to Arles, which is a gem on the river, a very quaint southern French town with a Roman amphitheater that rivals the Colosseum. This is an outstanding site to visit, and we go inside to see it all. On the final day aboard, you can choose to relax and enjoy the river cruising, or take an optional tour to the Ardèche River Gorge, and it's one of the most majestic views in all of the world. You can choose to extend your journey for a 2-night optional to Paris, and we take the high-speed train, working our way up to Paris, getting there in the afternoon. And we also do a Paris city tour on this program, so you get to see Notre Dame, the Louvre, Eiffel Tower, and more. And they anticipate Notre Dame being up and running, open to the public by 2025. Hopefully by this year's Olympics, but we'll see. Then we make stops along the way, and we also include a cruise on the Seine River. So that was actually last year's program, but getting a chance to see Paris by land on our city tour and motor coach. This cruise departs October 28th of 2025, and we'll fill up quick, so book your cabins as soon as possible. Now, this is a great European river cruise journey and a unique experience as it hits home for the Americans with the connection to the D-Day beaches. And we have 2 departure dates in 2025, April 1st and October 21st. The cruise and touring combines this great American history in Europe from World War II with the small villages of Normandy and adds some larger cities in Rouen and Paris. Then if you do the extension to London, you're really maximizing your adventure. And we fly round trip into Paris, City of Lights, for a magical trip on the Seine River. That day, we board the Amadeus Diamond and make our way out to the coast. We stop in the gorgeous city of Rouen, home to the beautiful architecture and story of Joan of Arc. From there, we make our way to Étretat, which is the northwest coast of France, and it's got these beautiful arches that are pictured in the upper right-hand corner there. So you get to see the cliffs, the fun town, and the beach right there. And then the full day of sightseeing of the D-Day beaches provides an in-depth look at what the Allies worked through to kick out tyranny in the continent of Europe. So we stop at Pont du Hoc, which is the cliff the Army Rangers scaled, the American Cemetery with over 9,000 servicemen buried, and Omaha Beach, and then visit a D-Day museum as well on that full day. On this cruise, we have some great art components as well. And we see the town that inspired Vincent van Gogh in Auvers-sur-Oise. And then we work our way to Giverny and the home of Monet. Then we come back to Paris with a city tour and fabulous farewell dinner before flying home. So this one has 2 departure dates, once in the spring, April 1st, and then October 21st. Now we also do a 2-night extension to London on this program. We take the high-speed rail and enjoy a London city tour, as well as a wonderful pub dinner. Now, Switzerland and the Christmas markets is one of the best times to be in Europe just before the holiday season. And you can do all your Christmas shopping, holiday shopping in the markets of Europe. And we sail on the Silver 2 on this cruise. We'll fly into Zurich and make our way down to Lucerne for 1 night. And that's where we'll enjoy a guided walking tour of the Chapel Bridge and a number of other sites, finishing at the Christmas markets for some free time. Our ship meets us in Strasbourg, and that is an identity crisis for hundreds of years. Can't decide whether it's German or French, and it does sit right on the border there. Now, this is an amazing city with its Notre Dame Cathedral and fun holiday decorations that bring to life the spirit of the holidays. And we enjoy a walking tour there, as well as time to explore the markets all over town. On our way north, we stop in the small town of Speyer in Germany to learn about this Celtic settlement, and it's also home to a stunning Romanesque cathedral founded in 1030. The next stop we make is Rudesheim, and that's where you'll have the choice to wander at your own pace or join an optional tour. And that afternoon, we'll sail through the Rhine River Gorge and some of the amazing castles of Germany. We enjoy a walking tour of Koblenz and the time at the Christmas markets at night. And one of my biggest highlights is the small town of Kokum. And that's where we'll do a walking tour and a visit to Reichsburg Castle, which sits up over the hill overlooking the river as well as the town. And then we work our way down to a cellar and enjoy German Riesling and Pinot Noir on a wine tasting. We wrap up this cruise with a stop in Cologne, one of the great German cities and home to the most famous cathedral in all of the country. And it took over 6 centuries to complete the masterpiece. Cologne was originally a fish trading port, and you'll see the historic fish fountain in Old Town as we explore that area. And we finish in front of the cathedral for an afternoon at leisure with plenty of time for the Christmas markets. Our last activity together is a delicious farewell dinner with a great finale. So this one heads out December 3rd of 2025. Our Vienna and Christmas markets of the Danube cruise takes off December 10th of 25. And this is a great program flying into Frankfurt. And there we'll spend one night getting a chance to see the Christmas markets in all their glory. And then drive down to Rothenburg. And this is a medieval walled city that we'll do a walking tour of. We board the ship in Nuremberg, that is home of the World War II trials, and get a chance to see the Nazi grounds as well as a number of amazing sights, and then spend some time in the center of the city at the Christmas market there. Regensburg is our next stop, and that's where we'll visit UNESCO World Heritage Site in its Old Town, and then head off to Passau, and that is our jump-off point for a full-day optional tour down to Salzburg. And we'll meet the ship back in Linz and head off to the town of Melk in Austria. And that is home of a Benedictine abbey. And we'll tour the abbey as well and enjoy some famous Glühwein. We wrap up this program in Vienna. And this is a world-class city with incredible music as well as the home of the Habsburgs. And so we do an optional tour to the Schönbrunn Palace. As well, our city tour gives you a great taste of local life there. But a wonderful program taking off on the Amadeus Cara built in 2022. Now, our first new trip for 2025 is a fun-filled adventure to Phoenix, Arizona. And this takes in our nation's favorite pastime of baseball. So the Arizona Spring Training Explorer highlights a one hotel stay to unpack and settle in. It's a 6-day tour with 2 spring training games, which is one of the best ways to experience the sport. Now, most professional MLB games take place in a 40,000-seat stadium. Many of these fields here in Phoenix and the surrounding areas sit only about 10,000. So it's a much more intimate setting. You get closer to the game, and even the hot dogs cost a little less there. And no $20 beers like in the stadiums. So we highlight much more than just baseball on this trip as we take you to Tucson and see the Saguaro National Park, along with Phoenix City Tour and an Old Town Scottsdale experience. So this tour takes off March 9th and the 16th, and it's a fun opportunity for everybody. Even if you don't like sports and baseball, it's a great way to learn about the surroundings of Phoenix. Now, some returning programs for the spring highlight many of the great events that take place around the country. First, we'll look at Washington, D.C., and this 6-day, 5-night program focuses on the nation's capital and highlights the best time in D.C. when the cherry blossoms peak in April. As any good gardener knows, you can't predict the exact time of when they're going to blossom, but generally the first couple of weeks of April, so we plan our trip around that. Now, your second day includes a visit to the Arlington National Cemetery with its 639 acres of memorial to the soldiers who served our nation. Then it's off to the White House Visitor Center to learn about the executive mansion and presidential families. And then over to the Tidal Basin. That's where you'll see the Jefferson, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Martin Luther King Jr., and World War II memorials. And those are clustered together. We also take you on a walking tour to the other memorials and monuments, like the Vietnam Wall and the Korean War Memorial. You'll spend a day in the Smithsonian Institutes along the Capitol Mall, and that's where you can choose which museum you'd like to see. And then we board the Odyssey ship for a cherry blossoms cruise with narration, a live band, and excellent meal. You'll visit Ford's Theater, which was the infamous site of Abraham Lincoln's assassination, and see the museum on the lower level before taking a walk through the main theater atrium and see the booth where John Wilkes Booth fired that famous shot. We leave the city for Annapolis and get to do a city tour featuring the U.S. Naval Academy, and you'll enjoy lunch on your own with a little free time. On the last full day, you'll get a look inside the U.S. Capitol and the Visitor Center there, and it highlights the U.S. lawmaking process. Then we work our way south to Mount Vernon, and that's George and Martha Washington's estate. And just to the south of the city is a self-guided tour of the property. You'll spend some time in the Education Center and learn about George Washington's story by film, and then see the working farm along with Washington's tomb. So this one takes off April 7th, and it is a guaranteed departure. April 25th is our San Antonio Fiesta, and this is a great Unpack Once tour as well, where you stay 4 nights in the heart of San Antonio. It includes a welcome and farewell dinner, all of your breakfasts, and some exceptional sightseeing. You'll head up to Austin, the state capital of Texas, and enjoy some time at the Lyndon B. Johnson Library, sites of the University of Texas, and State Capitol Building. Also on that day, you'll make your visit to Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center. You'll enjoy a visit to San Antonio and get to see the Alamo and the other mission, one of the largest missions, Mission San Jose. And so it really focuses on the Spanish and Mexican period in Texas. You'll head over to the IMAX Theater and learn about the Alamo, and then walk right across the street to the Alamo itself and have time to explore on your own. We take a boat ride down the famous Paseo del Rio, or River Walk, which is the most popular attraction in Texas. And then the next day we head out to the Hill Country, just north of San Antonio, to visit the area of Fredericksburg. And this is where we get a chance to explore the German-themed town and possibly visit the National Museum of the Pacific War. Even if you're not interested in the World War II components, this is an incredible museum and has great detail. I highly recommend this trip. This is one of my favorites to run as a tour director, and it really is a fantastic opportunity to learn a little bit more about Texas. Now, Tulip Time is not only special in the European Holland, but also Holland, Michigan. And the Great Lakes Adventure departing May 1st includes the Holland Tulip Festival and a trip to see the Dutch Village and Gardens. This 9-day trip is highlighted by a trip up to Door County and the Upper Dells of Wisconsin, lunch at the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island, and a visit to Lambeau Field, which is home of the Green Bay Packers. But a lot to see and do on this trip as we hit a number of different states. See Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana. But this is a departure of 9 days, 13 meals included. And we also offer a trip in the fall if you can't make the spring. So on this trip, heading out September 25th, this removes the tulips since those won't be in bloom, and we'll enjoy a visit to the President Gerald Ford Museum instead. So heading out in September, get to see some of the fascinating beauty of the area as leaves change colors around the Great Lakes. One of our most successful events is the New Mexico Balloon Fiesta, and we enjoy 2 nights in Albuquerque to take in the Dawn Patrol, Mass Ascension, and Balloon Glow of one of the most photographed events in the world. The tour incorporates the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, Los Alamos Bradbury Science Museum, that's where you'll learn about the atomic bomb testing, and much more. From Albuquerque, we head north to Santa Fe, and that's where we enjoy a city tour with the Laredo Chapel, and then drive the scenic high road to Taos. And that includes a stop at Chimayo's El Santuario, dating back to the 1800s. We have 2 departures on this tour in October, and look forward to seeing you there. Getting a chance to see an incredible destination, this is West Virginia Rails and Williamsburg. And as a brand new tour, it's always fun to introduce. We highlight some special attractions that many folks haven't done before. So we fly round trip into Washington, D.C., where we spend a night and see the nation's monuments lit up in the Illuminations tour. Then it's off to John Denver's Country Roads of West Virginia, where we enjoy 2 unique train rides. First, it's the Potomac Eagle Scenic Rail and its gorgeous refurbished train cars and views for miles. We stayed 2 nights in the town of Elkins with a hometown feel. It's an active town with Appalachian culture. And next is a journey on the New Tigert Flyer. And it's a wonderful train trip along the mountainside and past some pretty river stretches. This includes a passage into a 1,500-foot deep canyon with steep, densely forested slopes and a high bridge over the rushing Shaves Fork of the Cheat River. Our stay at the beautiful Greenbrier Resort for 1 night, and then a lot of great traditional rich history. So we get to see Thomas Jefferson's Monticello, which is pictured in the bottom left corner. Learn all about the American Revolution at the Museum of Yorktown and the battlefield as well. And then Colonial Williamsburg is a big highlight for a number of folks. We have a colonial farewell dinner included on this tour as well, but you really do get a great perspective of both Virginia and West Virginia on this tour. And we have a number of different departures. We have September 25th, October 2nd, and October 9th. And here's a quick clip to introduce you to the rails.
Potomac Eagle Scenic Railroad offers one of the most scenic rail experiences in the state of West Virginia. Potomac Eagle Scenic Railroad is a passenger excursion that runs along the south branch of the Potomac River out through what we call the Trough. It's a stretch of water between 2 mountains. The only way to access it is by kayak, canoe, or train. Potomac Eagle's been situated here in Romney for over 30 years. The railroad's growing. Our ridership is growing. We've added different classes of service, and we're getting ready to gear up for our Christmas trains, which will happen in November and December. It's just a great place to come and ride, a great place to visit. Beautiful countryside out here in Romney, West Virginia. During a ride on the train, you can expect to see anything from deer, the occasional fox, every once in a while a black bear, and then eagles, of course, once we enter the trough. Luckily, every day this year so far, we've seen eagles. If you're a photographer, if you like to take pictures of wildlife, if you like to take pictures of just scenic mountains, trees, farmland, this is definitely the place you want to come. It's not real common to find equipment of this age still running. It is around, and you do have to look for it. And we are fortunate to have the ability to acquire these locomotives and this equipment. A lot of it has gone by the wayside. A lot of it's been scrapped, but we're able to find it, bring it here, refurbish it, get it running, keep it running. In 2022, we had the pleasure of taking part in a movie. The film crew came out, did some overhead shots. Because of the wide open landscape, it makes it real easy to do drone work, to shoot the train going down the tracks. We actually shipped one of our locomotives up to Toledo, Ohio in the filming of that movie, and it was just an honor to be a part of that. This is really a scenic location to film in. And here at Potomac Eagle, we have the ability, just with our countryside, the wide open spaces, and the equipment we have, to recreate any type of railroad era you're looking for, regardless of what you want to do, whether it's just a standard photo shoot, or if you want to film a movie, we can make that happen right here at Potomac Eagle. There's just nothing else in the state like Potomac Eagle Scenic Railroad.
So as we transition from West Virginia into the big city of New York, this is truly a memorable trip, getting a chance to see the Big Apple. And we fly into New York City and spend 3 nights in the city itself, generally around Manhattan, getting to do a New York City tour, seeing all the boroughs and the different neighborhoods like Little Italy and Chinatown, and work our way over to the 9/11 Memorial and the museum itself. We take a boat out to the Statue of Liberty, as well as some time on Ellis Island to learn about our nation's immigration. And then one of our nights in the city, we enjoy a Broadway show. We'll have a little bit of free time in New York on one of the nights if you wanted to book your own show as well. And then over to West Point as we make our way up into the Hudson Valley and you'll get a tour of the military academy there. One of the unique aspects of this program is going to New Paltz and learning about the Huguenots who came over from Europe as some of the first migrants to make their way into our area. And then it's over to Hyde Park, and this is Franklin Delano Roosevelt's home and library. So it's an amazing site where they moved Eleanor's home to the site as well. We'll see a maple syrup farm and also enjoy a Hudson River cruise on this program. But we have departures both in the late spring, early summer in June, and then into the fall of September and October. And that's where you really get to see some of the color change in the Hudson River. But a great program in the city as well as the valley. Now, Pittsburgh and Falling Water was originally a mystery tour that was so popular, people asked us to incorporate it on a regular basis. And so what we do is spend 4 nights in Pittsburgh, getting to enjoy the sights and sounds of the city. We'll take the Duquesne Incline Tram up to the top of Mount Washington for some of the best views over the rivers and over the city. Then we incorporate a visit to the historic Fort Pitt, and that was built for the French Indian War. We take in the ballpark, PNC ballpark, of where the Pirates play, and then also incorporate the Flight 93 Memorial. But really a big highlight to this program is going to Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water. And this was a home built with natural landscape architecture right up into the hills. And it's an amazing sight to see his beautiful property built specifically for a retail owner. And this tour departs both in the spring and the fall, so May 12th and October 13th. Now, one of our most popular tours is our Cape Cod and the Islands, and you'll see all the dates listed above, June 7th through October 4th. A great opportunity to see it during the summertime, better weather, and then you also get some beautiful scenery during the fall as well. So we start out by flying into Boston for 1 night and work our way on a Boston City tour with Faneuil Hall as well as Boston Commons, which is an amazing park area. Then we work our way out to the Cape, stopping in Plymouth to see the Plymouth Rock and the Mayflower II, and the Plymouth Pawtucket, and that is the former Plymouth Plantation. Then we take ferries from our area. We stay 5 nights in either Hyannis or Yarmouth and work our way out to Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket on this program. We'll also work our way up to the tip of the Cape in Provincetown or P-Town, and then down into Rhode Island to Newport. And that's where we see the Breakers Mansion, as well enjoy a lobster farewell dinner, as you have to enjoy that treat while you're in New England. But this program runs all through the summer and into the fall, 7 days, and a great opportunity to see this part of the country. Coastal Maine Lighthouses and Landscapes has been a booming trip for us as well. And we spend 1 night in Boston with that city tour. A little different on this city tour is a visit to Fenway Park, and that's home of the Boston Red Sox. It's the oldest ballpark in the nation, dating to about 1913. And then we work our way up through these little towns, these little coastal towns on through Maine. And so we spend 5 nights in either Kennebunkport or Ogunquit on this tour in 2025. Again, going through the summer and into the fall. And then visiting the city of Portland, the largest city in Maine. And there's so much to see there. We work our way out to the Portland Head Lighthouse, and that's a great visit as well out on the coast, the tip of the Cape. And then from there, we also go out to Boothbay Harbor. And one of the highlights is our optional trip to the Botanical Gardens on this tour. We take you out on a lobster boat, so you get to learn all about lobster fishing, and then see a number of other lighthouses as well as Walker's Point, which was home of the Bush compound. So this trip is 6 nights, 7 days out on the coast of Maine. Getting a touch of Pennsylvania, we take you on the Brandywine, Philadelphia, and Amish country with 5 nights in 1 hotel in Philadelphia. And this is where we get a chance to do a Philadelphia city tour. You see Deb pictured with Rocky in that photo there. And the Rocky statue as well as the steps are incorporated there. And then we also take you over to Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell. So you get to see those great features of American history. We'll take you through the National Constitution Center. And then as we work our way out into the countryside, we make our way to a couple of amazing mansions in Longwood Gardens and Nemours Mansion, home of the DuPont family. We'll work our way out to Hershey, Pennsylvania, and incorporate the Hershey Museum, as well as a chocolate tasting, and that's a highlight for a lot of folks. And then a big part of this is going out to Valley Forge and learning about our Continental Army as they formed under George Washington. So great program heading out June 1st, September 28th, and October 5th. One of the newer programs for us that we introduced for fall of 2023 is Nashville Smoky Mountains and Bluegrass. And so we depart in the springtime as well as the fall, flying into Louisville for 2 nights. And that's where we get a chance to see a number of the horse components that make Kentucky so special. So Churchill Downs, the racetrack, the museum, the Kentucky Horse Park, and that celebrates man's relationship with horse. And then within Kentucky, you can't visit without doing a bourbon experience. And so we take you to Evan Williams and get some traditional bourbon. As we work our way through the state, we'll make our way over to the Ark Encounter. And this is a life-size structure of what they anticipated Noah's Ark to be like. As we work into Tennessee and staying 3 nights in Nashville, get a chance to do the Country Music Hall of Fame as well as the Nashville City Tour. We work our way over to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, and that's where we'll spend 2 nights in Gatlinburg in the home of the Smoky Mountains. And this is one of the most visited national parks in all of the country. We'll take in the Louisville Slugger Museum as well, working our way into North Carolina, and that's where we see the Biltmore Estate. So great program all in all, 8 days, 7 nights, and 11 meals incorporated. Savannah and Charleston is one of my favorite destinations when it comes to the South, and we'll start out in Charleston for 2 nights in South Carolina. And there we'll do a Charleston City Tour that focuses on the waterfront park and a number of the beautiful mansions and manors, and then work up to Middleton Place. And this is a mansion that lasted a number of different circumstances, whether it was the Revolutionary War, Civil War, and a number of weather-related incidents. But it's a beautiful property there. And then down into Beaufort, and that's right on the coastline, so you get to see all the different waterways on our horse-drawn carriage tour. We spend 2 nights in Savannah, and this is a beautiful city with an incredible history, one of the largest ports in our country when it originally was founded, and amazing public squares surrounded by oak trees and these beautiful fountains. We'll work our way down into Jekyll Island, and this is where we do a great dinner at the Jekyll Island Club and 2 nights in this beautiful property, home to the rich and famous in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And one of the unique features of this is going out to St. Simon's Island. It's a small Georgia Gulf island and has an amazing chapel and church there. So this program departs March, April, October, and November. Now, New Orleans and Cajun country is a wonderful trip getting into the heart of Louisiana. And so we'll stay 3 nights in New Orleans, 1 night up in Natchez, and then 2 nights in Lafayette. As we work our way through New Orleans, we do the Court of Two Sisters dinner, which is a wonderful feast. New Orleans School of Cooking is where you learn all about the Cajun cuisine and how they incorporate different foods, different spices, and truly make it their own. And we'll do a French Quarter walking tour and incorporate Café du Monde, which is home of the famous beignets. These are French donuts with powdered sugar and an absolute delicacy. Then we also incorporate some river components. We'll do a Mississippi River cruise and a Natchez Bayou cruise. And we see a number of antebellum mansions on this tour. One of the things that people always come back and tell us they loved is the Tabasco factory tour on Avery Island. So we incorporate that along with the Jean Lafitte Cultural Center. This one takes off March 17th, which is already a guaranteed departure, and November 3rd. Our Best of Chicago gets a great internal feel of the city of Chicago with 5 nights at the Palmer House Hilton. And from there, we work our way out each and every day on some great excursions. So we do the city tour by a couple of different means. We'll do a narrated architectural tour by River Cruise, and that's where you learn all about the different buildings throughout the city. We do a regular motor coach tour, and then we also incorporate the Untouchables Gangster Tour of Chicago. So you learn all about the 1920s and 30s gangsters like Al Capone and John Dillinger. Then we'll work our way out to Cantigny Park, and this is home of an amazing, huge park with the first division of the Army Museum there as well. We do the sky deck at the top of the Willis Tower, and then a really special feature is going out to Frank Lloyd Wright's home and studio. This was his dream home and an incredible build as well. We'll incorporate a stop at Wrigley Field. That's where we get to see the Chicago Cubs home stadium. And then also a stop at the Art Institute of Chicago. So really fun tour going out May 22nd and September 4th. Our Niagara Falls and the Grand Hotel is probably one of our more popular tours, especially in the Midwest. And this focuses primarily around Michigan with a touch of the falls. So we work our way into Detroit and stay 2 nights in Dearborn. That is where Henry Ford grew up as a suburb of Detroit. So from there, we'll see the Henry Ford Museum. We'll also take in the River Rouge plant, and that's where they're building the F-150 trucks. We'll head up north to Mackinac Island for 2 nights and stay at the beautiful Grand Hotel, and we'll enjoy dinner there as well. Our farewell dinner is at the Skylon Tower. Then we continue on. We'll do a carriage ride tour of Mackinac, have a little free time there as well, and then work our way down south to the thumb pocket of Michigan, and that is the town of Frankenmuth. So this is a Bavarian-themed town and an incredible Christmas store there. And then it's off to Niagara Falls for 2 nights. So we'll enjoy the falls from the Canadian side, so you'll need your passports on this tour. But a lot of different departure dates from May on through October. And we'll generally fly out of either Toronto or Buffalo on this trip. Getting a chance to see the north coast of the U.S., northwest coast primarily. We fly into Seattle on the Pacific Coast, Seattle to San Francisco trip. And here we'll see the Space Needle on our city tour, as well as the Pike Place Market. And this is the oldest continuously operating farmers market in the country, dating back to about 1918. We'll continue down to Portland, taking the 5 as we work our way into this city, the City of Roses. And there we'll do a visit to Multnomah Falls, which is an incredible 2-section waterfall just out on the Columbia River Gorge. Coming back into the city, we do a city tour with the Rose Test Garden, and then it's off to one of the most scenic stretches of our country, and that's the Oregon coast. So we'll get to see a stretch from about Lincoln City down to Newport, and that's where they have the sand dunes as well. So you'll get to see one of the largest stretches of sand dunes in America. Then as we continue down towards the border, we'll stop into the River Rouge, or the Rogue River, and do a jet boat ride. So you get to learn all about the different species of animals living on that river stretch. As we cross the border as well, we get into the Redwoods National Park, and you'll get a chance to see the redwoods in a number of different stops. We'll take the one of the most scenic stretches, and that's the Avenue of the Giants. And then we do a wine tasting in Northern California before heading into San Francisco. And that's where we'll spend 2 nights doing a city tour and getting to see the city by the bay. So this tour only has 1 departure for next year, and that is August 10th. Now, we've revamped Utah's Mighty National Parks, and that's why there's no map there. We're recreating that map as we speak. And one of the unique aspects that we've converted to is to fly into Salt Lake City. And so this is a great program with some great components to it. As we fly into Salt Lake, it provides a lot better air access. We used to do Grand Junction, and it made it a little more complicated. So on this program, we stay 5 nights in Moab and work our way through Arches National Park as well as Canyonlands. And then we also see Capitol Reef, which is a little more unique in its setting, and Dead Horse State Park. And that's where the bend of the Colorado River is located. We work our way out to Monument Valley as well, and then over to Golding's Museum. As our time in Monument Valley, we also incorporate a Navajo Native guide taking us through this stretch. And so a great departure, heading out both in the spring as well as in the fall. Now, Santa Fe and the Land of Enchantments is a wonderful program as well that we introduced last year. And this one has 2 departure dates, April 27th and November 2nd. We fly in and out of Albuquerque, getting a chance to tour that area. Now, this is a tour that goes outside of the Balloon Fiesta timeframe, so it's much less crowded, I would say, in terms of its population. And as we work our way up to Santa Fe, that's where we spend 5 nights in one hotel. So it's a great Unpack Once tour. We'll do city tours of both Albuquerque and Santa Fe, again incorporating the Laredo Chapel and the Governor's Mansion. And then taking the high road to Taos, where we get to see the Native American Pueblo dwelling. We'll stop in Georgia O'Keeffe's Museum, and then also take the Turquoise Trail as a scenic drive. So some great features on this, including the Santa Fe School of Cooking dinner. Getting out to the islands and the Aloha spirit, we fly into the big island, Oahu, and that's where we spend 3 nights in Honolulu, right near Waikiki Beach. We'll work our way over to Pearl Harbor and visit the USS Arizona. So you'll take the Navy skiff out to the ship site itself, and then incorporate a Honolulu city tour on this trip. As we work our way, we also do an optional Circle Island tour of Oahu and get a chance to see the Dole Pineapple Plantation and North Shore. Then we work our way over to the Big Island, and that's where we stay in Kona. And from there, we'll enjoy a dinner on arrival, as well as a trip out to the national parks. So you get to see the Black Sand Volcanic Beach, as well as Volcanoes National Park. And then it's off to Maui. And here we stay 3 nights. We'll go up to Haleakala, this beautiful crater overlooking the island chain. And you generally sit right above the clouds there. We do a Hawaiian luau as kind of a farewell dinner on that tour. And then we also see the Iowa Needle. And this is an amazing scenic stretch through Maui. So this one is 9 days, 8 nights, and 11 meals incorporated. Seeing some of our great national parks, we work our way on Mount Rushmore, Yellowstone, and Western Frontiers. So this is a 9-day, 8-night program heading off June, July, and September. We start in Rapid City in South Dakota for 3 nights, getting to see the Badlands, as well as Mount Rushmore in day and night. And then we also incorporate Crazy Horse Memorial before working our way out to the west. And as we make our way to Sheridan, we stop at the Devil's Tower scenic location, as well as Deadwood, the home of the old Wild West shootouts. As we continue on to the west, we'll stop in Cody, Wyoming, and that's where we get to see the Buffalo Bill Cody Museum. And then off into Yellowstone National Park. And this is an incredible destination. We'll see all sorts of different wildlife, as well as fountains, geysers, and so much more. Now, the routing will be a little bit different for 2025 than it is 2024. I believe we go up and over into Montana, but this just gives you a general sense of the trip. As we arrive into Yellowstone, we'll stay in West Yellowstone for 2 nights and then come into the park for a full day tour. Then it's off to Jackson in Wyoming, and you get to see the Grand Tetons and stay 1 night in Jackson before flying out of Salt Lake City. So great program heading off during the summer and early fall. One of our other hub tours, hub and spoke trips, is our Great Trains and Grand Canyons tour. And this is a highlight program, one of our most successful trips, and we spend 5 nights in the heart of the Red Rocks of Sedona, Arizona. And that's where we'll do the trolley tour of Sedona and a visit to the Chapel of the Holy Cross, built right up into the rocks. From there, we take the scenic drive up into Williams, and that's where we take the Grand Canyon Railroad, a historic rail route working its way into the south rim of the Grand Canyon. Most of the trip is an enjoyable train ride until you get to the canyon itself at the end, and that's where we walk through Bright Angel Lodge out to the back and see this gorgeous canyon open out in front of you. Then the other big train ride, I think, is a greater experience, and that is the Verde Canyon Railroad. And that's a more scenic stretch as we work our way on the train. We get to see this beautiful, lush valley. And so as we work our way on a first-class train car, get a snack box as well. They have prickly pear margaritas, so that's always a good time. But this departure, as you can see, has so many different trip dates from February on into November, as it is our most popular West Coast tour. And we hit sites like Jerome, which is an Old West mining town, and Montezuma's Castle. And this is pictured in the bottom left. It's a cliff dwelling of the Sinagua tribe with over 50 members of the tribe that lived here at one point. Black Hills and Badlands, another great tour and unpack once trip, is 6 nights and 7 days in Rapid City. And this is a great hub for activity in and around that area. The city itself is a lot of fun, some historic buildings like the Alexander Hotel. And then we also work our way out to the Badlands National Park. And this is so many areas of geology, incredible structures there. We do a dinner at Fort Hayes, and that's a chuck wagon supper dinner. And that's where the movie Dances with Wolves was filmed with Kevin Costner. And then out to the west a little bit, we're driving through the Black Hills over to Mount Rushmore, as well as Devil's Tower. So we get to see the day as well as night ceremony at Mount Rushmore and the Crazy Horse Memorial. And then one of the unique features we do on this trip for those train fanatics is our 1880s steam train through the Black Hills. So it's a really popular trip. Now, my favorite part of this entire experience is Custer State Park, and that's where we take you out on the Buffalo Jeep Safari, getting to see these amazing creatures with over 1,000 head of buffalo in this area. The Alaska Call of the Wild is a 7-day, 6-night program, working our way into Anchorage, and that's where we stay the first night, getting to see the beautiful city. Then we take the train, and this is a domed rail car, up into Denali National Park. And so we'll stay 2 nights there, driving through into the park and getting to see hopefully a lot of wildlife, but also Mount Denali. As we continue south, we stay 3 nights in Seward, and this is a great harbor city. We'll do a glacier and wildlife cruise, as well as a tundra experience on this program, and get to see the Kenai Fjords National Park. So it's a great way to learn about Alaska on the interior, separate from a ocean cruise, but we also offer those Alaskan cruises as well. Colorado Rails and National Parks. It's another great loop tour through the state of Colorado. We fly in and out of Denver and stay 1 night on arrival. And then we work our way out to Vail. And Vail is a beautiful resort town, both in the summer as well as winter. So we'll spend our lunch hours in Vail, and then it's off to Grand Junction. And this is a great hub for visits to Arches and Canyonlands. So we'll get 2 nights in Grand Junction. And as we drive south, we board the Silverton and Durango Railroad and take that down into Durango for 2 nights. And then a trip out to Mesa Verde is a beautiful stretch, a very scenic drive and enjoyable experience in the park. As we work our way up to Colorado Springs, we'll also stop at Great Sand Dunes National Park. And then from Colorado Springs, on our 3-night stay, we go out to the Royal Gorge Railroad, and that's pictured in the bottom right. Just a beautiful stretch of scenery as we work our way through by train. We take the Pikes Peak Cogway and also get a chance to see the U.S. Olympic Center and Air Force Academy on this program. But we have trips departing June 15th, August 3rd, and September 7th. This is another great program for those folks wanting to check out Northern California and into Nevada. We fly into San Francisco for 2 nights and get to see the city by the bay on our city tour and bay cruise. So we get to do a loop out and around the Bay Bridge, the Golden Gate, as well as Alcatraz. And then we head up north into Muir Woods, and this is where the coastal redwood trees are located. So the redwoods there are absolutely beautiful and some great paths to explore. We'll continue over to Napa Valley, and this is where we do a wine tour and tasting. And then over into the state capital of Sacramento. And there we'll spend 1 night getting a chance to see Old Sacramento and the Railroad Museum. From there, we board the Amtrak California Zephyr and continue up and over the Sierra Nevada mountains and stay 3 nights in Lake Tahoe. And from Tahoe, we go out to Reno, and that's where we see the National Automobile Museum, and then Virginia City. And this is a really unique old ghost town. A great history of silver mining is located there. So that's the Comstock Lode, as they call it. But a wonderful trip getting to see Lake Tahoe, the state capital of Sacramento, and the coastal redwoods. This is a great hub tour going out to the Southwest National Parks. We have 2 hotels that we use, one out in Vegas and one in Mesquite. So 2 nights Vegas and 3 nights Mesquite to get all the great features on this tour. So on this program, we also incorporate a Vegas city tour, so you get to see the Strip. We do the Hoover Dam as well as the Las Vegas Mob Museum. And then we'll work our way over to the Grand Canyon West, and that's where we incorporate the Skywalk. And this is an amazing feature built on the Native American reservation, sitting out over the canyon itself. So highly recommend that aspect of it. And then we work our way to one of my favorite national parks, and that is Bryce Canyon with all of the hoodoos pictured in the bottom right. So amazing features and landscape as it sits out on the Colorado Plateau. And another component of the Colorado Plateau is Zion National Park and all of its amazing features. So there we'll take the tram tour and get a chance to see historic Zion Lodge. But this is a really great program getting to see our national parks. So this one takes off in May, September, and November. Another great program in Arizona is Tucson and the Old West. So staying a little further south in the state, and 5 nights in 1 hotel in Tucson. And it's a great location there in a resort in Tucson. We do a city tour. And one of the highlights for me was going to the Pima Air and Space Museum. And this has hundreds of different aircraft of different styles and eras. We get out to the Bisbee area and get to see the Queen Mine. And that's a highlight for a lot of folks. As well, if you're familiar with the old OK Corral, the famous gun shootouts, this is an amazing sight to see as well as it brings this era to life. The Kartchner Caverns have an amazing stalactites and stalagmites on view. And then the Saguaro National Park, and our loop tour through the park is quite impressive. I'm 6'4", and those cacti tower above me. It's absolutely amazing. But we'll also see the Desert Museum, the Sonoran Desert, as part of that visit as well. So this one takes off November 9th, 5 nights and 6 days. And our last Western U.S. tour is our sunny San Diego and Southern California highlights. So if you're from the San Diego area, it might be a nice little loop tour around your area to see some outer stretches if you don't drive. But this program works its way out to Palm Springs, the wine country of Temecula, up to Mission San Juan Capistrano, and much, much more. So we get to take the Pacific Surfliner on this tour and visit Torrey Pines as well. Heading up north into Canada, our Canadian Rockies and Glacier National Park has been a steadfast tour for us for a while. This is a 6-night, 7-day trip flying into Calgary, and that's where we work our way out to Banff and the area around Lake Louise. So one of the highlights on this program is a visit to Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump, and that's where the Native American tribes ran buffalo off the cliff in hunting grounds. We work our way over to Waterton Lakes, and this is an amazing stretch of beautiful lakes and crystal clear waters. And then a big aspect of this trip is taking the 1930s Jammer Tour car up and over by the lakes in Montana. So great opportunity to see the glacier in Athabasca and doing the Ice Explorer, which is a vehicle that takes you out over the ice. And this one heads out through the summer and into early fall. Getting out to Eastern Canada, the Great Canadian Cities and Niagara Falls program hits the highlights, the big cities, as well as some amazing landscape. We'll fly into Montreal in this program, getting 2 nights there with a city tour. And then we take the train, the Via Rail, up into Quebec City. And this French city has so much great culture to it, as well as a great historic old town. From Quebec, we work our way to Ottawa. We do a city tour there, as well visiting the 1,000 Islands by cruise. And there are all sorts of tiny little islands in this chain, which are absolutely stunning. Have little bridges going across, one home on many of the islands. And so it's just gorgeous. And then down into Toronto, where we'll incorporate a city tour there. And then we do Niagara Falls on the lake as well, this charming little town. We see the falls in a number of different areas, as well as the boat ride. And then we fly out generally out of Buffalo, occasionally out of Toronto on this program. But again, as we get into Canada, you will need your passports. Majestic Canadian Rockies is a 5-night stay in Banff, and we'll arrive in Calgary, working our way out to this beautiful setting. So unpack your suitcase once and get a chance to take in so much great scenery around the Canadian Rockies. We'll go up to the Columbia Ice Fields and take the Ice Explorer ride. That's the amazing vehicle that takes us out over the ice. We'll go out to a number of gorgeous lakes on this stretch, whether it's Moraine Lake or Emerald Lake, and those are pictured as well. And then Yoho National Park is a real highlight for a number of people. But getting to see Chateau Lake Louise and having a great meal as we look out over the lake is a stunning feature. So this one takes off June 15th, July 27th, and August 17th. Canadian Rockies by rail is another great way to travel. So we start out on the western side of Canada with this program. And we'll fly into Vancouver, spending 2 nights in this great Pacific Northwest city. From Vancouver, we get to do a city tour, and that incorporates the great markets in town. And then we work our way out to Victoria and Vancouver Island for a day. So from Victoria, we get to see Butchart Gardens, which is an incredible site pictured in the upper left corner. Hundreds and hundreds of acres of garden and landscaping. Then from there, we board the train and work our way overnight up into the Canadian Rockies. And we work our way over to Jasper, spending 1 night in Jasper and then 3 nights in Banff on this program. But we also incorporate Chateau Lake Louise on this and Moraine Lake, but a great opportunity to spend 2 days on Via Rail. We have a Sleeper Plus car, and this one takes off September 10th. And last but not least in Canada is Nova Scotia and the Canadian Maritimes. This has so much scenery, you can't go wrong. It's an amazing stretch of coastline as we work our way through the eastern side of Canada. We take the famous Cabot Trail, which winds its way around the coastline, and then also stop at the Alexander Graham Bell National Museum on this tour. But something that everybody recognizes is the Anne of Green Gables Heritage Place, and this is a great story that's located there. We stop in Lunenburg, which is a fun town, as well 2 nights in Charlottetown on Prince Edward Island. So a number of national parks and UNESCO heritage sites on this program. And we also incorporate a lobster dinner on this tour. So this one takes off June 19th, July 13th, August 11th, and September 7th. Highlights of Scandinavia. This is a brand new tour for us. We took some time in creating this itinerary as we've tried to run it in different ways in the past and taken the best of those tours and combined it for this one. But we'll fly into Stockholm, and this is an incredible city out on the coast of Sweden. So many great highlights there, and we stay 2 nights in Stockholm. As we travel to the west, we work our way over into Norway and spend 2 nights in Oslo. And it's an incredible capital city. We do a city tour in Oslo as well as Stockholm, and also incorporate the Norwegian Folk Museum. And there's so much heritage in the Scandinavian traditions. From Oslo, we continue up to Flåm. And Flåm is a small town in the middle of a great fjord. That's the Arlands Fjord. And we'll do a cruise through the fjord, as well taking the Flåm Railway. And up at the top of the railway is this beautiful waterfall pictured in the upper right-hand corner. So we'll get to enjoy that on the train. As we work our way back down to Flåm, we'll also head into Stalheim, as well the beautiful coastal city of Bergen. And in Bergen, we stay 2 nights, getting to see the surroundings by city tour. It's also home of a famous composer. And then we also take a cable car up Mount Fløyen. As we work our way into Copenhagen, we actually travel by air. So we'll fly from Bergen to Copenhagen and spend 2 nights in this amazing city. And this is where we get to take in Tivoli Gardens, and that's pictured in the bottom right. This is not only an amusement park, but also an incredible stretch of land to walk around and explore the different areas. So a wonderful program heading off July 17th and August 14th. It's an 11-day program with 14 meals incorporated. Going into one of my favorite countries, and that is Switzerland. Alpine Swiss Villages is a great program where we'll fly into Zurich and spend 6 nights in the town of Wengen. And this sits up over the mountains, looking out over the amazing landscape and valley. And from there, we get a chance to take the Berner Oberland Pass, which is a rail pass, and get to see so many different sites that you wouldn't generally see on a motor coach tour of Switzerland. So we visit Interlaken and do a Lake Brienz cruise. We work our way through the Lauterbrunnen Valley, and this is where we get up to our hotel. And then Grindelwald and Gimmelwald. So we see Grindelwald on this program and also take our trip by tram and railway. And then a highlight is getting to see the city of Lucerne. We'll do a walking tour through Lucerne as it sits right on the edge of the beautiful lake with the mountains in the backdrop. And also the city of Bern. And Bern has a beautiful visit incorporated there. A number of waterfalls as well as the surrounding areas, and what could be wrong about Swiss chocolate. But this one takes off a number of different departures for next year in July and August. Now, Cuba is a very unique destination, and it's one that a lot of people haven't made it to quite yet. But this is an area we've been traveling to for quite some time, as we have a relationship in Cuba and a permit to travel there. So we have a number of different departures. We have 2 in the spring with February and March, and then 2 in the fall in October and November. But this one stays 5 nights in one hotel in Havana, and that's where we get a chance to go out on a walking tour of Old Havana and get to see the Museum of the Revolution. A big part of this tour for a lot of folks is going to the Old Style Classic Car Club and taking one of those great historic Chevys through town. And they're very well kept up, beautiful vehicles as we travel through town. We also see Hemingway's farm and go to the Havana Club for rum, getting a chance to see the museum there. And then we take you to a cigar factory and get a tour of how they make this amazing specialty feature of Cuba. We also incorporate the National Hotel, and that's a beautiful tour that we visit. And then a taste of Havana in the Havana Compass dance group. So you get a chance to see the dance styles of Cuba. So great program, 5 nights in Havana. Now, when you're going to Australia and New Zealand, you want to maximize your time, as it is a good travel destination. It takes a little while to get there. So we've maximized this program with 17 days, and we'll fly into Sydney to start out with. We'll stay 3 nights in Sydney, working our way out and about onto the different stretches, getting to see the city tour. And we also take you over to the Opera House. And this is where we not only see the external parts of the building, but also on an interior tour. So you get to see it from the inside. We'll do a cruise in the harbor. And then we also go out to the gardens, the beautiful garden stretch that looks over the city. So this is a wonderful way to travel. As we work our way from Sydney, we'll fly up to Cairn. And that is where we get a chance to see the Great Barrier Reef. And we'll do a day trip out there. A lot of great options to choose from as we travel through the Great Barrier Reef. You can snorkel. You can do it by land. You can see the beautiful landscape around it. We also take you out on a boat out over the Great Barrier Reef. So some great opportunities there. From Cairn, we work our way down to the capital cultural city, and that is Melbourne. And there's so much to do and see, some great restaurants within Melbourne. And from Melbourne, it's off to New Zealand. And we'll fly into Queenstown, which is the most scenic stretch in all of New Zealand with its beautiful waterways and amazing fjords. We'll take you out by cruise and get to see the Milford Sound, and then work our way up to the North Island, and that's where we stay in Rotorua and Auckland. So Rotorua is famous for its thermal reserve and all sorts of great geyser features, water features. And if somebody says it smells like eggs one more time, I might just snap. But from Rotorua, we also incorporate the great harbor city of Auckland, and that is a beautiful stretch. We see the Hobbit Town movie set, and we also have some free time throughout this stretch to explore. We learn about the traditional cultural experience of the Maori as we take in a hangi, and then we take you over to the National Kiwi Hatchery on this tour as well. So great program heading out February, March, and October. The Treasures of Croatia and Slovenia is a fantastic program. We released it last year, and it has been so well received. And this program flies in and out of Zagreb, and we spend 2 nights there. We continue on into Slovenia, and that's where we see Ljubljana. And we'll do 2 nights in Ljubljana, getting a city tour featuring the many bridges of town. And then over to Lake Bled, and that is pictured in the upper right-hand corner, the little island there. We do a little boat cruise out, and then explore that surrounding area before heading down south. Now, we'll do the coastline of Croatia, which is one of the most popular scenes. We get you down to Zadar as well as Trogir, and then 2 nights in Split. So Split's one of the most popular cities. We do a city tour there, and then into Dubrovnik. And so 2 nights in Dubrovnik with a city tour incorporated as well. So wonderful program heading out March 18th, October 14th, and November 4th. Now, Kenya Safari is a wonderful opportunity to learn all about the wildlife of Africa. And on this program, we incorporate 10 different game drives. So there are so many great sights and sounds to take in on this program. One of the amazing features we do here is the Goodall Chimpanzee Center. And you can see a picture of Jane Goodall in the bottom right corner. This center rehabilitates chimpanzees and keeps the population steady. We'll also take you to the Giraffe Center and then the Masai Mara Game Reserve. And that's where you can see a number of different animals as they roam. From there, you can also see Mount Kilimanjaro. And so we'll get a take of the mountain itself. We take you to Mount Kenya Safari Club, which is an incredible resort, as well as Amboseli National Park on this tour. But so many amazing opportunities to learn about the wildlife in Africa. And this program heads out in February as well as November. It's 13 days and a wonderful opportunity to see this land. England, Scotland, and Wales. If you're looking for something a little more familiar, if you're trying to avoid that language barrier, you still have a little trouble trying to understand the Scottish, but this is a great opportunity to be more familiar and comfortable in an area. So we work our way into Edinburgh in Scotland for 2 nights, and this is where we'll do a city tour with the castle. We head south into York and enjoy York Minster. As we continue, we stop in Stratford-upon-Avon, and this is an amazing city with all sorts of rich history, especially when it comes to William Shakespeare. And then down into Bristol for 2 nights, and that's where we extend out into Wales and the city of Cardiff. And so the Cardiff Castle there. As we continue on towards London, we stop in Stonehenge, and that's where we learn all about these amazing features. And then 3 nights in London at the end with a city tour, and that incorporates Buckingham Palace. We'll do a Scotch whiskey tasting up north, as well as a stop at the Salisbury Cathedral. So this program runs March 19th, April 23rd, October 1st, 29th, and November 5th. I just got back from Iceland in May, and this was one of the most incredible lands I've ever seen in my life. I've traveled quite a bit, and this one really took its toll on me. I absolutely loved my time here. We flew into Reykjavik and stayed our whole time there, and that's what we'll do on this program as well. So this is a 5-night stay in the city, and I was blown away at the different options, restaurants, as well as museums within Reykjavik. Now, from Reykjavik, everybody asks, are we going to the Blue Lagoon? And that is a resounding yes. It's an awesome experience going out into the waters of the Blue Lagoon. Also, grab yourself a drink as you float. You can do the whole face mask experience and really take in a breath of fresh air. So as we work our way around the southern part of Iceland, we also go out to a number of beautiful waterfalls, and that is Skagafoss Waterfall. That's a highlight for a lot of folks. We go to the Folk Museum, and then we also incorporate the Viking Ship Museum on this tour. But we do the Golden Circle and the South Coast, so some great aspects, including Gullfoss, which is another beautiful waterfall. This one takes off May 28th, June 4th, September 17th, and October 1st. Spain and Portugal highlights is a great program flying into Lisbon, and that's where we spend 2 nights getting to do a city tour and a fado show. Now, fado means fate in Portuguese, so you get to learn all about this dance style, as well as the music surrounding it. And then we'll work our way over to Evora, and Evora is a old Roman colony, and you'll get to see the cathedral as well as the Roman ruins. Then from there, it's off to Seville. That's where we spend 2 nights and get to see the cathedral, and that is one of the largest cathedrals in the entire world. As we do our city tour in Seville, we'll also head off to Granada, and this is home of the Alhambra Palace. So we'll get to do a tour of the palace itself. We'll stop in Toledo on our way to Madrid, and we wrap up with 2 nights in the beautiful city of Madrid. And you can also extend this program, if you choose to do so, with 2 nights by rail to Barcelona. So we take the high-speed train from Madrid to Barcelona and wrap up there if you choose. But we have March 20th and November 6th of next year available. Athens and the Greek Isles is another very popular trip. We start out by flying into Athens and stay the night, 2 nights there on arrival. And that's where we'll take a city tour featuring the Olympic Stadium, the Acropolis, and the Parthenon. One of the highlights of that is the Acropolis Museum. And there's a glass floor to that where you can see the archaeology going on, a big dig that continues right underneath you. We'll take a high-speed ferry out to Mykonos and Santorini. And one of the best ways about this program is that we are doing it with 2 nights in both Mykonos and Santorini. If you do this experience by cruise, you're taking a lot of time to travel and cruise and not that much time in the islands themselves. So this is the best way to go about this opportunity in Greece. So with 2 nights in Mykonos, we also work our way over to the island of Delos, and that's an archaeological site as well. And then over to Santorini for 2 nights, where we'll get to tour Ia, the main town, as well as doing a wine tour and tasting. Then we come back into Athens for 1 night before flying out, or you could extend your tour and do 3 nights up to the north to Kalambaka and Delphi. So this one's a great opportunity to learn about Greek mythology and so much more. Speaking of mythology, there's no more mythical place than the Green Isle of Ireland. And here we fly into Dublin. We work our way out from Dublin to the west. We'll do a city tour in Dublin as well, getting to see the amazing Jameson distillery and do a whiskey tour and tasting there. And then heading off to Limerick. So we cross the country over to the west, and this is home of the book Angela's Ashes. So great enrichment of that experience. From Limerick, we'll head north into the Cliffs of Moher and the city of Galway, and it's a beautiful university town. As we work our way south, we'll continue down to Killarney, and that's a great hub as we continue off to the Ring of Kerry. So this peninsula that stretches out into the west coast is a beautiful stretch of coastline. Then we'll come back from the south and work our way back towards Dublin. We wrap up with a castle stay. So we stay in a small castle right outside of Dublin. And we also incorporate the Blarney Castle on this tour. So lots of great departure dates, March 25th, April 7th, and then into October and November. Now, the culinary experience of Tuscany is a little bit different moving into 2025. And the biggest difference is that we do 5 nights in the Tuscan hillside and then incorporate 2 nights in Florence. And what that does is it provides a little bit easier travel day on return. So you're not having to get up as early in the morning as you fly out of Florence. You also get more time in the city. And this is one of the most incredible cities in all of the world. It's the home of the Renaissance, so incredible artworks, the architecture itself, whether it's the main cathedral, the Duomo, or the Ponte Vecchio, the famous bridge. And it's such an easy city to walk through and explore, and a really big highlight. So you really want to maximize your time, and that's why we incorporated 2 nights there. But from this program, we do 5 nights up in the hillside of Tuscany, and we get into some great towns like San Gimignano and Siena. Then we'll also work to Pienza and Montalcino on this trip, and also incorporate 3-night extension. So if you wanted to extend your tour, we do 3 nights at the end to Rome. But a main component of this, and it has it in the name, is the culinary experience. And so we do a Tuscan estate dinner, we do a winery tour and tasting, and we also do a fantastic cooking class with a pasta maker. And of course, you got to incorporate some wine into that, as it is Italy and some of the best wines in all of the world. One of the great aspects of this program as well is our lunch at a saffron producing farmhouse. So that's a lot of fun as well. So this is a great program going in the spring and the fall of next year. Italy's Amalfi Coast is another great destination getting into the south of Italy, and it's a little bit different culturally, a little bit slower lifestyle than in the north. They're much more into farm culture and production, and so you get more of the lemons, the citrus, the limes, and we learn all about that with a limoncello demonstration and tasting. So this is a lemon liqueur. We unpack twice on this tour. We do Sorrento area for 5 nights, as well as 1 night at the end in Rome. And then you also have the option to extend in Rome for 2 nights with a couple of great aspects on that extension. Within the program itself, we do a great drive along the Amalfi Coast, getting to see the beautiful towns as we go. We'll do a mozzarella cheese tasting, and mozzarella is some of the most delicious cheese in all the world, as well as a guided tour of Pompeii. So you learn all about Mount Vesuvius, the eruption, as well as the aftermath. And then the Amalfi Coast is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's an incredible drive and amazing scenery as we go. Then we have 2 optional days on this tour. One is to the Isle of Capri. So we work our way out by boat to Capri, which is a stunning island. And then Naples. And Naples is the home of pizza. So you can't go wrong there. This program is a wonderful opportunity to learn all about the South in Italy. And a great component, a great tour that combines both the North and the South is Rome and the country roads of Tuscany. So this one starts in Florence. We fly in 5 nights and stay in the town of Montecatini Terme. And this is a little town up on the hillside famous for its spas. So we do have some spa hotel locations there. We stay 5 nights there and work our way out to the city of Florence. We do a city tour there, as well as Lucca and Pisa. Now, everybody's familiar with the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but really Lucca stands out even more. It's less touristy. It's a medieval walled town with an incredible structure around it and very easy to walk or bike around the wall. And it's also home to a famous Italian composer. Then we continue down to San Gimignano and Siena. On our tour of Florence, we get to see the Michelangelo's David at the Accademia. And then we continue down to Assisi and learn all about St. Francis of Assisi before wrapping up in Rome. And that's where we'll do a Rome city tour as well as the Vatican. But a great program incorporated on this with 7 nights and multiple aspects that are highlights for folks. In wrapping up, a couple of great booking discounts available. First is our AFC Travelers Club that I brought up in the early part of the show, and that is the loyalty program. So if you book a 2024 tour, your second within 18 months is automatically $100 off. So great reduction, whether it's 24 or 25. As long as you book within that 18-month window from your last tour, you're incorporating $100 savings on your next one. Our early booking savings, or cash early booking as it's called, is a discount of $50 to $200 depending on the trip, and just by booking early and making your final payment by check. So being one of the first to book saves you more money. So up to $200 on our European river cruises and up to $100 on most domestic and international tours. Our single supplement savings is a great way to save. If you take 50% off the first 2 to book, and that's available on many of our programs. So as a single traveler, we know the cost is high. You're covering the cost of the room. And this is one of the best solo or single traveler savings in the business. So the first 2 single travelers to deposit for select AFC Vacations save up to 50% off the single supplement. As I mentioned before, our Refer a Friend credit. So if you refer a new traveler to us, once they've traveled with us, your next tour is going to be $100 off. Make sure you let them know to use your name so that you get the credit for it. But we are a word of mouth company, and that's a big part of how we've grown. In terms of the show specials for today, if you use the code 25RELEASE by next Friday, July 26th, we are reducing the deposit on our tours down to $299. So these are good for new 2025 bookings. Use the code 25release by next Friday, July 26th for a low deposit. We're also offering a new special, brand new offer, and that is a $199 deposit for your second booking. So if you book 2 tours at once, your first is $299 deposit and your second is $199. So a little bit of less money up front to reserve your space and your price on tour. So these are good for both tours and our European river cruises. You must pay for your travel protection with those deposits at the same time. And then our travel protection plan savings of $20 off. So you must pay for travel protection when you pay for your deposit, but we do reduce that by $20. So make sure you use the code for this great savings. And how you can book is call our 1-800-369-3693 number. Talk to Joe, Holly, April, or Sam. You can also email us, Joe, Holly, April, or Samantha, at afctours.com, or visit our website, afcvacations.com, for the forms section. Just want to thank you all for taking the time to join the show today. If you do have any questions, feedback, or want a little elevator music to start out the show, just email April at afctours.com and put in some suggestions. Always looking for feedback about the show or new show ideas. But really appreciate your time, and thanks for joining us today. And make sure you book your new 2025 tour or river cruise by next Friday. Have a great day.